A photo was posted online confirming that Ari Aster has finished production on his new film titled Edington. Knowing this is a new Ari Aster film, a lot of hype surrounds this announcement. Lots of speculation as well. Perhaps he's returning to the horror genre that has built his reputation? Or perhaps he's going to continue the weird trajectory that his latest film, Beau is Afraid, took? The announcement that came with the photo says that this film is going to be a contemporary western. Perhaps a horror western? Or Beau is Afraid but western? Well, whatever it is, we all know we are going to watch it anyway. I mean, it's an Ari Aster film. However, one thing I anticipate from this new film is the film's opening scene. See, Ari Aster has not only built a reputation for his unique artsy films, but also for his opening scenes. Before we dive deeper into his opening scenes, let's look at what and why is opening scenes. Traditionally, opening scenes are used to set lots of things. First is the character. From the get-go, the film wants you to understand the character in and out. Sometimes it could be the plot. Many action movies start with the inciting incident that triggers the plot. And for many horror films, the opening scene is a great way for the film to set the tone, which also helps the audience to know what they are entering to. So what about Ari Aster's opening scenes? Well, put simply, he elevates them, using all the previously mentioned uses, like in his debut, Hereditary. The film opens up with an opening passage from an obituary. It tells us the inciting incident of the film, which is the death of the grandma. Now accompanying the passage is an ominous score from Colin Stetson, which also helps to set up what the film's tone is going to be. Now the film starts with a shot that focuses on the treehouse from the room. As the score continues to chill the audience, the film zooms out and shifts focus to the room. Panning right, the score shifts to a louder approach as the camera passes stuffs inside the room and stops to focus on the dollhouse. As it zooms closer to the dollhouse, we see where the film wanted us to focus. When the zoom stops, the film transports us to the room of a teenager, with his dad opening up the door and giving him his dress for the funeral. Wake up. Now there's a lot to unpack, which, like said before, Ari Aster continues to set up the eeriness of the film with the score. It also introduces several characters, the husband Stephen and his son Peter. Although I can understand the argument that all of this is not the focus of the opening scene, since its purpose is actually to foreshadow. While Hereditary is about lots of things, family drama,
but you can't take responsibility for anything!
A cult filled with naked grandmas and grandpas, a child decapitated, and other stuff, the film is also about the powerlessness of the family, seeing them more and more controlled and manipulated by the cult. Now as the film progresses, we see this, but this opening scene also foreshadows this.
It is a shot that is, very, from clearly an omniscient perspective, which I think gives some clue as to how the film is going to be feeling. The dollhouses in the film, for me, serve as a metaphor for what's going on with the family. These are people who have no agency. In the end, they are like dolls in a dollhouse. I did want to establish that in the first shot.
So by focusing on the dollhouse and inserting the camera into Peter's room, the opening scene wants to establish that this family is just like the dolls, waiting to be controlled by their metaphorical owner, which is the cult. The opening scene also foreshadows the ending of the film by focusing on the treehouse outside. Since people who already watched this film know what the fuck is going to happen there. This foreshadowing also reinforces the family's impending helplessness. Even in the beginning, the film knows how the story ends, and there's nothing the family can do to prevent this. You can almost see the same intent in his second film, Midsommar. The film opens up with a large mural depicting a story that happened between the cold winter and the sunny summer, accompanied by a folkish lullaby sung in the Nordic language, which sets up the tone of the film, an eerie folk horror movie. As the film progresses, we learn that the murals depict the story of the film and the rebirth that the film's main character, Danny, will be going through. Similar to Hereditary, the film's opening scene foreshadows its narrative, but not just for the sake of foreshadowing itself. The fact that the mural already depicts the story tells us the inevitability of this ritual happening. And just like how murals were used by the cult to document and tell their ritual, the film equates the character's journey as just another story in the cult's histories of rituals, further emphasizing the film's exploration of control, manipulation, and the blurred boundaries between individual agency and collective fate. And what about Beau is Afraid? Admittedly, the film's opening scene is relatively brief and more straightforward than the other films, just showing the point of view of a baby that is being born, who we learn is Beau, the main character of the film. But the short and straightforward opening scene of this film still somehow brings meaning. Beau is Afraid is about, as all of his films are, lots of things. But the strongest theme explored in this film is the relationship between parents and child. It's about the trauma a child inherited from the parents, about how pressure and control build fear and anxiety, as the name of the film gives away. So it makes sense that the film opens up with the birthing scene from the point of view of Beau himself, as the film is also about his rebirth, seeing new places, new people, and discovering new meanings in his life, just like in his birth. The vivid visual that Beau saw also reflects the weird journey that he is going to go through. Both reflect out-of-this-world production design and the wild experiences he will be involved in. Also, Mona, Beau's mom, is also established in the opening scene. We hear her scream about Beau not crying as a baby, signifying the overprotectiveness characteristics attached to her later throughout the film. So when Edington is out in theaters, make sure to pay attention to the opening scenes as well. For the opening scenes might not only want to establish the tone of the film, but also the characters, the inciting incident, and it might also foreshadow the story of the film and the meaning of it as well.